Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, James Protin. Every week I will be sharing the experiences that have defined my journey and talking with people who have their own powerful story to tell. It's about doing better and being better in life, business, and all things in between. The visually inclined can catch us on YouTube, or you can check us out on just about every podcast platform. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. I want to apologize ahead of time for what is about to transpire, but I have a couple of awesome young fellas here with us. We have Brian Carothers over here on this side, and my old friend Ed Troup. Welcome, fellas.
Jim, good to be
here. Well, you said young
Jim.
fellas. Are there younger people joining us?
Listen,
I feel like I'm 100 years old.
Listen, anybody that's under, no, I'm ancient.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Well, you look the best out of all of us. We got a gray beard, I'm bald, and look at you.
well, I appreciate
Look
that.
how tan you are. Not a care in the world. Look at that loafers. I love it,
I don't
Jim.
even, this is what retirement looks like.
Okay.
Right? So I'm not retired, but I like to dress like this, so I trick myself into thinking I am.
Well, it's a good thing. It's a power move, in my opinion. Ed will agree.
Absolutely.
Is that when people see you, you're so wildly successful in business, the podcast, and you're making it look so easy, and they go, Protin's probably has a relative that's funding him with money, or he knows something about somebody.
He's got a rich uncle
You're too
somewhere.
relaxed.
Right. Yes.
When
Yeah.
the people come in the suits and the ties, that's when you go, I got him. This guy's stressed. Not you, not a care in the
That's
world.
why I shed the jacket and I rolled
You
up
did,
the
you
sleeves.
did. You got yourself, because you were looking pretty sharp when you walked in the
Thank
door.
you,
I
sir.
was a little intimidated.
I said,
Because
thank
I'm
you.
like, oh man, I'm underdressed. So tell me about what you guys are doing. Tell me about oneBURGH.
So oneBURGH is Pittsburgh's largest social media site. We're close to about 500,000 followers. All your
So
favorite
we're going to get
kids are there.
500,000 views to this particular show, right?
Well, if we start talking about
it's
stuff other
guaranteed.
than Belle Vernon football.
Come on,
'Cause
Val,
every
listen,
single
Jim and I can have our own
person-
show. We can have our
Every
own show.
single person besides Humbert and his wife have tuned out.
Everybody's gone.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we've been after
And Humber's
for-
wife's probably gone too. She
Yeah.
probably, yeah.
She's
That's still probably
She's
on.
heard all this stuff. Matt will stay because Matt's been on the show. He's a fan.
Mrs. Humbert, if I hear about this bell one more
Over
time,
this. I'm over this.
I'm destroying that bell. Yeah, we have a good time on there. This site was something that Ed and I both kind of had our eye on. We saw it's been around for a while. We took it over, and the idea, really, Jim, is like it's this. It's to me, oneBURGH is it's a community, of course.
Right.
Social media, largest in Pittsburgh, so you get a lot of people who communicate, have a lot of
That's
fun,
huge,
talk
guys.
about
That's
it.
huge.
And we've always kind of we took a while to try to figure out what it was, but really, like to me, the way I describe it is it's like my grandfather's basement. The game is on, and it's on loud, but you can't just watch the game. You got to talk about what's happening down the street. We're going to talk about Ed's head. We're going to talk about Coach Humbert. We're going to talk about you being, you announcing that Ed on those games. And so it really is a mix of everything with a little bit of comedy. When something happens to the game, we're going to get back to that. But really, it's like this community, a lot of fun being in there, a lot of comedy. At first, we were kind of like the Wizard of Oz. We wanted to be just tell stories and get away. But people don't want that. They want to connect with you. They want to know the real Jim, right? So they want to know the real Ed. They want to know what's happening. And so that conversation is cool. And really, it's the only spot that big for Pittsburgh to talk about everything that's going on.
Absolutely.
So we're having a good time with it.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see the reaction to the community on different posts too. We'll come out with something really good on Cam Hayward. We're talking to him, and it'll get some hits. We'll enjoy it. But then Brian will post something about a porta-john on fire outside PNC Park, and it'll get six-figure looks on it. Am I
But
right?
let me just say, a porta-john on fire is important.
That's a big deal.
There's a value to that.
True, there
Big
is.
deal.
There's a value to that. So it's pop culture. We are not hard-hitting news. We're not bringing anybody down. We're not investigating Jim yet. So we're trying to bring the full story of Pittsburgh. That is, I think, what makes it to me one of the most interesting and maybe best cities in the world, which is. We're a lot of small communities all into one. We unify a lot around a lot of things, sports, of course, but also nostalgia for ourselves. Pittsburgh loves Pittsburgh, Jim. You know that.
Exactly right.
And so we kind of celebrate that.
Center of the universe.
And we want to expose some warts. We have some fun with that.
Yeah.
But it really is just a central spot for really the most people in Pittsburgh to get together and talk about what's going on there.
That is so cool. I mean, because that's more than the population of Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? You have 500,000 followers.
Right.
I mean, that's crazy.
All over the world.
Yeah, you know where we're really big? Mexico, because the Steelers are so big in Mexico. So we'll all of a sudden see like people type in Spanish into the thing, and I'll go, who's drunk again in Claire? But it's not. They're in Mexico. They love it.
And one of the cool things that we started last year was Brian and I started doing a Steeler post-game show.
Okay.
So right after the Steeler game's over, we go on for about a half hour, 45 minutes. We talk about the game. And we actually got, pretty large audience that tunes in. I was actually pleasantly surprised. I was like, who's going to log on at, 11:30 at night?
Ed's the new Pompiani.
After a Sunday night game. Well, I'm
trying.
that's why I'm dressed up. I'm trying to dress up.
I mean,
like
it's
Pomp.
not like no competition.
Right.
Listen, Pump's a good guy. I mean, he's good. He's no intro.
He's no intro.
He's no intro. Come on.
Pump's got the poof. Ed's got the glow.
I got the glow, right?
Yeah,
I got the
This
glow.
head sells.
But we actually, Brian had connected with Steeler Nation over in Australia, Mexico, all these different places in the world. And these guys would come on in their time. It's 4 o'clock the next day in the afternoon. It was amazing. And but the reach that we get on oneBURGH is pretty incredible.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
I mean,
and people care about things. I think it's just, again, it's my grandfather's basement. I think there's a commitment to Pittsburgh. There's nostalgia. We want to show off the beauty of it. We want to show the warts of it as well. That's okay.
Sure.
That happens, right? Just as we're sitting here talking about people, it's uniquely Pittsburgh to say, I love this guy, but he's also a Jagoff.
But he's
right?
a Jagoff.
Right. Yeah, that's what we like.
We acknowledge our work.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
And the other thing, and a lot of it's trial and error, I think, that Brian will call me at 11 o'clock at night or text me and bounce an idea off of me and other people that work on the site with him. And it's always interesting, intriguing stuff. But one thing, at least because I do most of the sports.
Yeah.
So on the sports side, one thing we've figured out is Steelers is number one. And no one had to tell us that the Steelers are number one. But again, we get more comments, more reaches on anything Steeler related. It could be, hey, they're going to put a little logo on the helmet. It has nothing to do with free agency. I like to dig in the weeds. I like to talk about all the acquisitions and the draft. And Brian always tells me, keep it simple. Keep it simple. And it's
well,
true.
our meetings are always interesting because Ed will go like, we might get a 4th-round pick outside linebacker.
Let me tell you about his speed.
From Wichita.
From Wichita. I'm like, oh, God. No. Don't go there. Don't.
It's embedded in me.
But people dig all of it, right? So, the Steelers, I think, on a larger sense, oneBURGH in itself is people. The devil's in the details. Pittsburgh still loves the details. That's what makes it unique. And so people want to make sure they can get the best pierogies. People want to know, and they always know where they go to church on Easter.
Absolutely.
They know where it's just uniquely Pittsburgh. So it's cool.
I mean, we're very traditional.
Yeah.
We are, and I think about the Pirates, the Buccos, right?
I think about them every day.
This is the guy right here.
I grew up a Pirate fan. My son's a Pirate fan. My grandson loves the Pirates. I took my grandson to his first Pirate game, Caleb. But he's the one who plays for Belle Vernon. He's a junior now. So I got tickets right behind the duck.
How old is he?
He's 16 now. He's 5.
At the time he's 5. Okay.
So he's cute, little blonde hair kid, look like Dennis the Menace, right?
Perfect.
So he's got his Pirates gear on. He's got his glove and his cap, and it doesn't quite fit. It's like down over his ears. So we're sitting there, but I wasn't thinking, right? So they were playing the Braves. We were behind the Braves dugout.
Okay.
I mean, I had my beer on the dugout. We were first row at the dugout.
Nice.
So he's pumped. He's got his peanuts and all his stuff. And he's just like everywhere, and he's just into it. He stood the entire time. So about halfway through the game, Atlanta's catcher comes over and he points at him, and I said, "Dude, he wants to throw you the ball." So he goes like this. Guy throws it till he catches it.
He throws it back.
I stopped him. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm a Pirate fan." I had to convince him.
There you go, Jim.
I had to convince him that both teams use the same ball.
Yeah.
Right.
He didn't want it.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's funny that you say this. So my grandfather, who I'm talking about his basement, right, is a lifelong Golden Panther. Ed and I would go to the games with him. He parked right in Mercy Hospital, right at the base of Pitt Stadium, would tailgate. It was great. So I don't remember what year this was. Ed will know because he's a master of dates. If Dave Finoli was here, he would know. But I would go to every
Oh,
Pitt
by the
game
way,
with him.
Finoli and Fletch mentioned everyone they owe us.
Yeah.
So just like
That's a
you
shout
threw it
out.
out there. That's a shout out. Finoli and Fletch, you owe us now.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's a freebie. The next one I'm charging.
Next one,
for.
yeah.
But we went to every game. And so I don't know what it was, but the year that Rocket Ishmael, Lou Holtz were part of Notre Dame Nation, where they were number 1 in the country, the Rocket was the greatest.
Late 80s, 87,
so
88, something like that.
They came to Pitt Stadium, late 80s, right?
Yeah.
Early 90s maybe. And so I don't know what grade I was in. I was young, not as young as your grandson in that story, but maybe 12, 13 years old. And so it was going to have a nationally televised Saturday night game against Notre Dame, biggest thing. And so I wore a Notre Dame hat and a Notre Dame shirt. And my grandfather turns the corner and goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I like Lou Holtz and the Rocket and this." And so he kind of took it in, but didn't say much. Very Pittsburgh, right? Didn't overreact. But he had 4 seats, Jim, 2 on the 50-yard line and 2 in the end zone. And so Old Pitt Stadium had gates that you couldn't roam to the different sections.
Sure.
Every quarter, one of us would get called over. I had 2 brothers. So Pappy would always be at the 50-yard line, and my brother Pat would start. And then in the second quarter, would see him wave, and I'd meet Pat at the gate and would exchange the ticket and go sit with Pappy.
Around. Yeah.
That night. But I did not get called over to the 50-yard line because he would not
being punished.
be sat.
He wasn't going to be seen.
He would never be seen with his grandson wearing a Notre Dame hat. And it goes on now. My son likes the Yankees and he likes Aaron Judge. Every kid loves Judge, right?
Sure, absolutely.
But when they came to PNC Park last summer, he had his Yankees hat. I was like, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Were you at the Johnny Cueto game?
Yes,
I was
course.
there. I was there. My son and I, we were at the Sid Bream game. Okay, and
we don't say Sid Bream around here,
No.
Jim. We just say the SB
Yes
or
word.
Sid B.
so
we don't say that.
Really, the last playoff run.
Yeah.
Right? So we got tickets and we went to that game. What an atmosphere that was. I think PNC Park's the best. It's the best park in the country, hands down.
Yeah.
But that night, that was electric. I mean, that was something that I'll never forget.
We've had a few media personalities on our podcast this spring. Rob King, Paul Alexander, they're the 2 that come to mind. And everyone referenced that game as being the game in the last 20 years. I mean, I'm talking every sport, Penguins, Pirates, Steelers.
All of them.
And it just shows you, and Brian and I talk about it all the time. Of course, he's more Bucko proud than I am. That's a whole story for another time. I still like the Pirates. I'm just a frustrated fan.
Yeah.
He's more.
He's a diehard.
Yeah, he's more the diehard. But that was the game. And this city is so hungry. We talk about this often.
They want it so bad.
So hungry for the Pirates to be successful.
I think this would be a St. Louis. This would be a baseball town.
Absolutely.
We
100%.
are. It's just you
Just
need to
hit
win.
it.
You need to win a little bit. We're dying for anything, and that's why I think people love McCutchen so much. Right? He's the last guy.
yeah.
So I'm 44. I was born in the December of '79, and I was not alive for the last time we won the World Series. Right. So if you're in your 40s, the only thing you have Bobby Bonilla, which he didn't get as far as we wanted to, and you have Andrew McCutchen, and so a little bit of Barry Bonds. Right. We love him again, but you don't have anything.
He's
McCutchen,
in the
that's
Hall
why
of Fame.
McCutchen is so beloved in this range of 30 to 50. That's all we have. So that's why if he came down here right now, I'd be like, "Oh, this interview's over.
It's
I
over.
gotta
Yeah,
go
we're
see
done.
Judge."
Yeah, we're done. But you know what? Obviously he's at the end of his career, but you know what? He's out there competing. He's out there playing this year. He's not.
He's hard.
He didn't just show up for a contract.
Right.
No, I don't think so.
I think it's probably embedded in him that he wants to see this thing turn as well.
I think
he's
so.
invested in it as a rookie. He left for a while. Now he's back. I think more than anybody on this current team, Andrew McCutchen wants to. By the way,
And I want him to do a Hannes Wagner. I want him to retire and become our manager.
Oh, there you go.
So you mentioned 79.
Yeah,
I've been alive for 3 World Series.
my man.
60,
What's it
71,
like?
and 79.
Then tell us, what's it like?
It's unbelievable. The Pirates in the 70s, the Pirates and the Reds rivalry in the 70s
Yes.
was legendary. It was legendary. I mean, the 70s Buccos were awesome.
Let me ask you, when the Pirates won the World Series,
Which one?
okay, just think back to that moment. What was a better feeling for you? The Steelers winning any Super Bowl or the Pirates winning
Pirates,
any World
hands down.
Series?
Pirates, hands down. And I'll tell you the truth, because, obviously, growing up in the 60s, I was a Clemente guy.
Okay.
In fact, my first game, my dad and I we sat in the right field bleachers at Forbes Field.
Wow.
Okay? Because I love Clemente.
Yeah.
I remember the game. It was the Pirates versus the Dodgers. And Willie Davis, or the Dodgers, and Pete Rose were 1 and 2 neck and neck for the National League batting title.
Cool.
But we sat in the bleacher seats in right field at Forbes Field, and so they had that little corner back in the corner back there, and Clemente played. Willie Davis hit a ball down in the corner, and you can Google this. I'm telling you, And Clemente went back in a corner, and it was like just like a line shot down the line bouncer. Davis tried to stretch it to a triple, and Clemente gunned him out from behind that corner.
You're not
Threw
doing
him
it,
out.
right?
Perfect strike.
Well, it's funny, and you've seen it in person, but when you watch video, and people will go,
incredible.
look at these right fielders, the greatest arm, one of the greatest arms, because no one can gun it, and I wish I was alive to see it, but no one can gun you out like Clemente, right?
Did you say
you were at the Sid Bream game where they in Atlanta when they won that? When they beat the Pirates?
No,
just watching that.
Watching that.
I was just saying, you've seen it all, man.
We were at the last home game. Of that series.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
We had John Parado on our podcast recently, who is a big MLB writer.
Can you believe how many name drops?
No, I am dropping a lot of names.
Ed loves to name drop.
Well, after today, I'll start dropping Jim's name on our podcast.
Right. When you hear us talk about you,
you'll be paid back. You'll be paid back. So
we get like a little bell every time Ed mentions name. Will go.
John writes for MLB.
Who does?
In the AP, John Parado, who we had. Exactly. But no, a quick story. So he wrote a column on. They just recently honored the '79 Pirate team. It's 45 years. Dave Parker came back. Of course, he has Parkinson's.
Yeah, that was sad.
And he wrote a really good column on how of a joyous night it was, but it was also a sad night. And it wasn't just Dave Parker that was part of it, but it was the other part that a lot of these players from that '79 team were talking about. That was the last time the Pirates played in a World Series was 1979. So I'm not talking about just winning a World Series, but just playing
a World Series.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been 45 years and counting, and Brian and I are just hoping, more Brian than me, but that his kids don't have to play it on a radio at his gravesite.
I just don't want
Which
the
might
radio
happen.
where my son's pouring a 40 of Iron City beer on my tombstone that finally the Pirates won. But they don't get a lot of credit. It's funny because it's kind of like that John Madden thing, like what a great coach and then a great broadcaster, right? But Steve Blass now, it's somewhat forgotten what a badass he was as a pitcher. Kent DeCalby became this kind of goofy, feel-good grandpa when he did the post-game show and stuff.
Right.
But he was legit. These guys were monsters, and you start to lose that. That's what's sad.
They were legit.
Yeah. Now Parker, when you see Parker, he's in this wheelchair. You go, I guess he was okay. It's a bummer. Which, again, and this is morbid. 100%. But it's morbid. But I'll go there because I think you understand. Or kick me off the show. There's a beauty to Clemente dying so young that he never had to have the human experience where people would judge how great he was.
Right.
And so there's a uniqueness.
No, that's a very good point.
There's a uniqueness to that. There's humanity to that he had that moment that some people don't. Bettis kind of had it where he decided how to end his career winning the Super Bowl. It's so unique. Now would we want Clemente to be here again? Yes, of course. But there is a moment to that where you see it's just like the humanity of sports. You see Parker in that wheelchair, and it's an absolute bummer. And you hope that that's not the last memory people have of him.
Yeah, because he was such a presence. He was larger than life. You know what I mean? When he was playing, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
Now, who did more cocaine, Parker or you, Jim? Let's get to the real part of it.
No, I think I'm going to go with.
The Cobra.
But
that's what they called him, the Cobra, right?
Yeah, right.
Those were the days when those guys.
That's for a whole other podcast.
That's a different show.
But those stories are classic from back in the day.
Well,
who was it on the LSD that pitched the no-hitter?
Doc Ellis. I was going to say the greatest story of all time. He doesn't remember it. He has no recollection of it at all.
Those are the same guys that if you talk to old school sports reporters, that they would go interview him in the locker room, and what would they be doing? Smoking a cigarette and drinking in an Iron City. Yeah. Right after the game, or maybe even during the game.
I think that's what the beauty of kind of oneBURGH is, where we try to get a lot of the nostalgia to bring back to. Let's not forget about these beautiful moments, these great moments. One other example that I love, I know you're a Pirates guy, and my son is always blown away by this story, but, Manny Sanguillen, they park him now in the outfield if he has a park, and somehow he's a barbecue man now. I don't know how that all works.
Sits there and smiles. He doesn't
right. So we got autographs, and we would say hi to him. He never cooked a barbecue in his life.
No.
But, now that he's going to go into the Pirate Hall of Fame, the story that still blows my mind on Sanguillen is he should really be in the Best Friend Hall of Fame. He's best friends with Roberto Clemente, and he wasn't at Clemente's funeral because he was in the Atlantic Ocean looking for Clemente.
Really? I never knew
That's
for it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That story you can't even wrap your brain around as a person. Like, you're going to skip all of it because you have this hope that maybe your best friend might be alive. Holy cow. And that story still gives me goosebumps when I even just think about it. Yeah. But, like, these moments and these stories, I think you forget. Because age is so easy to forget, right? You just go, they're old, and we salute you and thank you for your and move on. But like these guys have a memory and a lasting legacy that is so meaningful, and that's the beauty of sports too, right? I mean,
it is.
People
It's
won't remember
it's
your
amazing.
record, but they're going to go, well, Coach Jim, after that game, he told me this, and I remember it. And we were talking about who's become doctors on your team. There's just a legacy to sports and that connection, which makes it great.
I think Brian would search for me in the Monongahela River, but probably not the Atlantic Ocean.
No, he would go. He'd
Something
go.
happened.
He'd go. No,
5
he'd go.
minutes.
Look at it.
5 minutes.
Five
Give me
minutes.
5.
I'd
Give
just
me
be
5.
like,
He might even take the boot off.
No, Jim.
Just to go jump in.
Here's the constant professional over here. He see how he brought that in? We're talking about cocaine and the Cobra and LSD. He comes in and he brings you back to oneBURGH, gives you a
Brings
little
it right
story.
back. Yeah, it comes right
and now we go
around.
back to you. See, constant
this is
professional.
great.
That's what we're always trying to wrap. We're always kind of
Always wrapping it up.
Yeah.
But you know what? I would be remiss too. Now, you guys met at Point Park.
Yes.
You both broadcasting majors, right?
Yes.
That's and obviously you were much more successful than him.
That's
At
right.
post grad, it's like
Well, look, I had a girlfriend in college, and now she's my wife. But Ed was always out there on the prowl, and so we had to move. You'll appreciate this, Jim. Anytime we would go out, and you'd see like a group of girls or whatever, I would always go, "Hey, it's really nice to meet you." I go, "Have you met Ed?" And then I would turn, and Ed just knocked him down.
nice.
Like Dick Weber.
You introduced him to his wife.
Yes.
Yes.
How did you know
Not-
that, Jim? Did you do your
Has
research?
has she forgiven you yet? She's
Everything-
still holding that against you?
Everything I
20
see, I go,
20
wow.
I'm sorry. Do you apologize? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I had no idea
I
this
go,
was going to happen.
oh God, I can't believe
I
I'm to
had
blame
no
for
idea.
this.
I'm sorry.
24 years later, and she still won't talk to him. So, right?
Listen, we went to Dave Matthews, so I could talk about nostalgia. So we went to the
Three
Dave
Rivers
Matthews
Stadium.
concert at Three Rivers
Okay.
Stadium, and I drive Katie, Katie, his now wife, Marcy, my now wife, and Ed. I don't know why we let you off, like you were gone. And Katie, who was like met Ed for the first time there, we drive her to her parents' house out in Findlay Township, and she pulled the driveway, and I think she said something like, "I don't ever need to see him again."
This is true. It's a true story.
Go from there.
respect.
Take it from there.
She
I-
always,
yeah.
Well, she always says, I had hair. I had blonde hair that was dyed. I had a hep necklace on. I'm 20 years old. Brian and I are throwing beer cans at each other in the parking lot. So apparently I didn't make a good first impression.
Right.
But she came back.
You
5
did
years
something
later.
right.
5 years later, we were dating and married.
How about that?
So hey, I must have did something right.
You did, yeah.
Yeah.
You
But-
pulled it. You pulled it out.
But yeah, Brian and I at Point Park in the fall of 1998
Yeah.
did a radio show together.
Okay.
Morning show. Did a sports show together. Did everything for 4 years. You got the most out of the opportunities. Of course, Brian went on to do big things and intern with David Letterman, which he can tell you more about, and worked at B94.
He's not funny.
So
You don't think?
No sense of humor whatsoever. I'm asking. That's all.
David
where-
Letterman?
No, I'm joking.
where I cut my teeth more getting into the local,
Yeah.
which I still do today,
Right,
broadcasting
right.
high school football and basketball
Right.
at WSA in Charleroi. Now with a couple different names, but now what's considered the Troup Live High School Sports Network, which does a great job covering the Whitfield and
Yeah,
states.
yep, absolutely.
So two different paths, but here we are doing oneBURGH together, which is very
So
exciting.
you've been
lot of
carrying
fun.
him all this time.
He has. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's like for 20 years. You've been carrying him.
He is the charming part of all this.
Oh,
no one
okay.
likes me. They meet me. It's similar to like the
Hanging
dating
with
thing.
that guy.
It's similar to the dating thing. Now
Well-
everyone goes, "Can I meet Ed?" And I go, "Yes." They're like, "You can move aside."
What's interesting about Brian is he's very creative, and I truly mean this. The mind's always moving, right? So over the course of this friendship of 24 years, I've gotten a lot of ideas, a lot of things.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when oneBURGH was presented to me 2 years ago, I reacted like I always react and said, "Oh, that's really cool, buddy. Cool. That's really
Very
nice."
cool, yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm thinking to myself, this will probably be dead on arrival in a couple months, and we'll move on to something else. So to Brian's credit, he has dove in, 100%, and he's made it what it is
Oh,
today.
wait, in
which is really
fairness,
cool.
look how far
Which
we've
is really
gotten.
good.
Look how far we've gotten. We're on a podcast in a coffee shop
How about
in Cannonsburg.
in Cannonsburg?
How about that?
So maybe
You
you owe
got-
me an apology.
Things are looking up.
which is-
Things are looking up.
Which is now my second home, right? I live right up the road.
Yeah,
and
you live right up the road.
we can talk Can and Mac stuff too, as much as I can talk about Belle Vernon. I've actually lived longer in Can and Mac than I have in Belle Vernon.
Unfortunately, we don't have time to talk about all that. Ed. I see that we're running out of time.
I do want to mention one thing because I got to tell you, you look fantastic, man. I mean, I know you lost 100 pounds.
Yeah.
You because you you were always a big kid.
Yes, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm very happy for you. I'm proud of you because you look fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm very public about it because I never want to give a wrong impression to people that. And I haven't gone on Facebook or social media and talked about a lot. My wife jokes with me. She goes, nobody wants to see it. But when I'm asked out in public, it's like, hey, what did you do? You know, I
Cocaine.
Cocaine. See you later. 100. Yeah, I've lost 101 pounds. I have had weight issues my entire life. From when I was a little kid. And, you know, I finally got to the point a couple years ago where enough was enough, 300 pounds, a lot of health issues. And there were a lot of health issues, weight-related. And a friend of mine brought me on to the concept of weight loss surgery, which I never in a million years would even give it a thought.
Sure,
you know,
sure.
Didn't want to go down that road, but got introduced to it, got gastric sleeve surgery 2 years ago, lost 101 pounds. And
saved your life, man.
Saved my life. Yeah. And completely game changer.
Absolutely.
Brian, as being my best friend, was a big part of that conversation early on because I'd never gotten surgery before, so I was very intimidated.
He brought you to cocaine.
He did. He said, this is an alternative solution.
This won't hurt.
What they don't know is they put that under, I performed the surgery.
But that's right, he did. But just to put it out there, though, you know, it's still work. You still got to watch your diet. It doesn't. It's
absolutely.
A tool. It's a tool to help position you. But you got to continue to work out. And I'm all in, man. 101 pounds off every single weight loss medication. Sleep apnea gone.
Wow.
Blood pressure gone.
Excellent.
Every single blood category for your blood chemistry in the green for the first time in my life.
In the bedroom?
Yeah, I mean, everything improves.
This guy is an
Everything
animal.
improves.
He's an animal.
He's an
Everything
animal.
improves.
So
You hear him growling.
but
If you live in Canonsburg, you hear the growling.
But for
That's what
that's
it is.
right.
That's what it is. What is that? That's Ed. Oh, it's Ed. He's at it again.
But Jim,
Another frisky night in Cannon Mac.
Let's go to sleep.
for people that are out there, that's it. See, look where they've taken me in this conversation. No, you know, I have no more than that. I had inspirational things to
Well,
add.
it's finished.
No, but now you guys have got me off. I have nothing else to say. No, but just to inspire out there, you know, when you hit that rock bottom in whatever in life, mentally, physically, and that's where I was physically 2 years ago, and it was time to make a life-changing decision, and I'm so happy I did. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You look great.
I do, but again, I don't want to give false hope out there because people say you counting calories, you working out. Yes, I am doing all that, but I had a tool to help me get there.
Yeah. Can you do something about him?
We're working on
this
him.
is
I
a
mean, he's got this
disaster.
going on, right? So
This is a disaster, Jim. Look at this.
What
Of
did you
everything.
do?
So-
If there's a doctor out there that can change anything on me, please call Jim.
Okay, no, I just saw you 2 weeks ago. You didn't have that.
No, I did.
It was covered up.
I
Oh, it's
did.
just
I tried to
covered up.
cover it up a little bit. I walked into a fireplace. Broke my metatarsal, and if anyone at home's thinking about doing this, don't. It's not as fun as it looks.
You're supposed to go around those.
Yeah, you know what? I thought that there was a little easier, but
yeah.
I don't have any motivational words like Ed. Just that don't walk into fireplaces.
Yeah, see,
and
come
listen
on,
to your
man.
doctor because I've taken this off and walked on it and like hurt it again. So just listen to your doctor.
Ryan was
And just keep watching Jim. Listen to your doctor and keep watching Jim.
Ryan was on his way to a Division I basketball scholarship at Montour High School
That's not
25 years ago, and he broke his ankle, and he had
Right.
unfortunately his basketball career ended.
It ended.
He was 7 feet
That's
tall.
not
He was
true.
ready to go.
Coach
too.
Protin, he can eye up talent
Oh,
immediately.
man,
He
come
knows there's
on,
nothing
come
here.
on.
You
But
know
now,
there's nothing
Here we are all these years later, and he still has to address his broken, messed up ankle. But it's funny, when we sat down, the first thing you said was, will I be on air with him?
Yeah.
I don't want everyone to see. It's not the sexiest thing, right?
Surprisingly, he's been very supportive and cool when I've talked about it. My wife has been the one where nobody wants to hear about that. Nobody wants to
Will
hear
you
about
stop?
I want to hear it.
But you've
When
been
we're
very
together, I was like,
positive.
show up. Let me see everything. I want to see what it all looks like.
nobody wants to
You know,
see
I think
that.
there's a. And I think we just recently talked about this, Jim. There's so many haters out there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Whether you're a basketball coach, a broadcaster, weight loss, everyone wants to call you a hypocrite on things. They want to go, you had a 6'7" player. That's why you were a good coach. Oh, you had weight loss surgery. That's why you lost. It's so unfair, and a lot of those people are unhappy in their own life, but. People just do not give people the benefit of the doubt. So you have to do what's best for you. And so I give that a lot of credit. No matter what you do, you're not putting Oreos in that mouth, right? And so that, no matter what happened, right?
the key.
No matter how tall that player is, you got to go to practice and still do it, right?
Still gotta do it.
So I give him a lot of credit. So
Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
he's
it.
not an inspiration.
I still put
know
the
him
Oreos
personally.
in. I just spit them out. So.
Wait, that's what you're doing.
Get the taste and you spit them out, right?
You could do the Dave Parker, just
Swirl them around.
start lining them.
Or do you snort the Oreos?
Start lining them.
Maybe I'll try.
Crush
You
them
know?
up.
You know what you could do?
Probably
is
still
kinda
counts as calories, though.
Just
so.
put the cream right underneath your nose and keep smelling it. It's not a bad idea.
That's it.
It's not a bad
Listen,
idea.
fellas, listen, we're driving Nick crazy. We've only gone about 20 minutes over our allotted time. For
Jim, I can't believe this is a show. I don't want to do a long goodbye on you, but I can't believe you had us on. This is so fun and exciting.
Here, we got to do it again. We should
Okay.
make this a regular thing. This has been fun. No, seriously.
So I apologize.
Oh, Brian.
I hope this isn't the last show. I hope you haven't lost, I hope they're not going to pull the plug because
Well,
of
no,
us.
my mom and her friends. That's our. They watch. They'll still be there.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah. They have. My mother has a couple friends. They sit around and they watch the show.
I love it. Well, hello to them.
Hello to them, absolutely.
I do really well with older women. And I don't want to get too deep into it, but older women love me, Jim. So to all the ladies out there,
So
hello.
All right,
where do we go?
He's flexing. We're gonna end. We're gonna end this now before it gets any further because
Thank you, Jim.
He's about to go somewhere where we don't want to.
We're not, no.
We're not
Thank you
going.
so much for having
No,
us.
thank you. Again, seriously, we will do it again.
All right, thank you, Jim.
Appreciate it, guys.